Namaste and welcome back. I am Dr. Naresh Bana and with me is Shivanshi, and today we are going to take you on the journey of yet another successful small scale PPP project, and this is from South India, Alandur Municipality. Shivanshi will be moderating. Over to you, Shivanshi.
Today, Alandur is a part of Greater Chennai metropolitan area. Back in the 1990s, Alandur emerged as a fast-growing suburb. With a growing population, the problem of unorganized handling of sewage became very prominent. It led to a demand of building elaborate infrastructure for handling the sewage as well as treatment of the sewage. As this issue holds prominence across many cities in India today, we'll be discussing how projects like Alandur were realized and how such model can be replicated in the development of other cities. Dr. Bana, among so many cities in India, why is Alandur such a highlight?
Alandur has been the first municipality to take up underground sewage treatment project in PPP mode, where the stakeholders, that is the users or the people who are beneficiaries, contributed for building it up, right? And then it was also constructed in a innovative way, which we'll bring out as we go further. And these are the highlights which make it a little more interesting.
Alandur emerged as a positive case study for PPP almost 2 decades ago. Can you tell how it all started?
Yes, in 1997, Tamil Nadu government got certain grants and funds made available to them, and they decided to develop 12 cities, and one of them happened to be Alandur. Now, Alandur municipality, as you had already mentioned, decided to develop their sewage system, and for that they got the cost estimation done. This was 10 million US dollars equivalent, but the funding which was available with the Tamil Nadu Urban Infrastructure Financial Services and their organ Tamil Nadu Urban Finance and Infrastructure Development Corporation was not sufficient. So the most viable format appeared to be taking private participation.
So, the lack of funding was the reason why Alandur went for PPP and it emerged as a successful project.
Yes, see, the success comes later. The initial part was primarily planning, and there were huge challenges. Bankability was the major challenge because initial user survey, when they decided to tap people paying capacity, initial user survey said that though paying capacity exists, but 80% don't want to pay.
So, how was this bankability issue resolved?
Now, this was a major credit goes to the innovation at the end of Tamil Nadu Urban Infrastructure Development Corporation, their consultancy, the project reports, and the transparency they brought in their documentation. Then the major effort was made by the mayor of Alandur, who had been there for 4 terms, that means 16 years he was there, Mr. Subramanyam, who decided to go door to door with his team and convince people that we are here to construct a good project for you, a people friendly project for you, and it has to be realized only with your participation because funds are inadequate. And they, together with the estimates and the documents which were prepared by their consultants, they were able to convince people that yes, the money which to be contributed on a graded format. That is, the poor people will pay less, the rich would pay more. Similarly, the commercial entities will pay more and the domestic entities will pay less. And that's how they could raise 80 million.
In this line, can you suggest how such participation can be replicated in other cities as well?
You see, the other cities will have their own challenges. This is just an example. And before I come to that answer proper, let me complete the last part. That in this case, 29% of the total project cost was raised from public, which was more than the expectation. The different sources of grants and contributions towards this project were that the state government grant was 30 million rupees, TUFI DCO loan was 160 million, and the grant was 10 million. Interest from public deposits, the public made deposits, and was 20 million, and public contribution was 80 million rupees, and TNU IFSL loan was 40 million. That made the total 340 million project cost.
The data which you mentioned, that 80 million was contributed by the public, can you tell how such participation can be replicated in other cities as well?
See, the key to this contribution was transparency in the approach to the people, those who are users of this system or the beneficiaries of this system. They prepared the documents which were by credible engineers and the consultants. Then they approached and they allowed the scrutiny of all those documents by anyone. They opened a separate account for this particular project in the municipality. They means the mayor and his team. And then the operation of that particular account was also with due participation from the resident welfare associations representatives. So anyone and everyone was convinced that their money is correctly being utilized. So though the challenges will be different, but such transparent and credible approach by public office holders, which is mayor and his team, and the public representatives of at all levels, can really play a significant role in realizing small scale PPP projects, especially because those are small projects visible to people and directly affecting people's day to day living.
There are several risks which are also associated with such projects, which are involved in social infrastructure. So, what were those risks, and how were those risks mitigated?
See, in any such project, the biggest risk is the land risk. Land is either not available, or it is far off, or it is encroached upon, or it is in a area which is technically not suitable, that is flood prone, or in this case it could be tidal area or anything, right? So in this case they had suitable land available, right? So the risk was primarily of designing, financing, construction, sewage volumes, and all the other risks, but the land risk was taken care. Then we had construction risk. Now, construction risk in this case very innovatively shared that the laying of sewage lines up to the sewage treatment plant, that is the collection system, was on EPC mode, that is engineering, procurement, and construction, meaning there was no public private partnership involved in that. So there was a direct contract for this particular part of the project that you construct and get paid. The sewage treatment plant was on a build, operate, transfer mode. But the innovation part comes in both were to be done by the same contractor, so that if one part is completed, that is the collection system, the pipelines is completed, and sewage treatment plant is not completed, one cannot blame the other. The sewage treatment plant, which is a remunerative project for the investor or the private player, is done at the same time when the collection sewage pipeline is ready. This appears simple, but is a very intelligent way of doing things in a synchronous manner. We also had financing risk, which I have given out in a little bit detail earlier, and it was suitably addressed with the participation from people, right? Then we had sewage volume risk, because for the treatment, the payment to the private operator was fixed on the volume of sewage treated. In this case, a minimum threshold was also fixed, so that even if the entire Alandur municipality goes on holidays, the sewage treatment plant, which has to run, continues to run, and the private operator continues to get paid to repay their loans and earn their salaries, right? So that was there. Then there were environment, social, regulatory, state support risk, which were handled in a standard fashion, right?
So you mentioned project design and procurement earlier. What were the standards set for that?
See, as far as uh, procurement is concerned, it was a national competitive bidding on World Bank format, right? And for operations and management contract, again it was a national competitive bidding, and the selected contractor would operate and maintain the underground sewage system for a period of 5 years on a fixed fee basis. Here I would like to clarify that while the sewage collection system was on EPC mode, there was a subsequent operations and maintenance contract given to another operator. The lease contract, in the nature of BOT agreement for the sewage treatment plant, was on FEDIC guidelines, which is an international federation of consulting engineers. So the bid criteria was so designed to have one single bidder who will undertake construction of sewage in EPC mode, sewage collection pipelines in EPC mode, and construct the STP in a BOT format. That was to avoid a situation of mismatch during construction and accountability during operations.
Further, what was the overall sustainability dividends of this project in the sphere of health, environment, and others?
See, it is very obvious that project of such nature directly address the health and hygiene of the area by piped collection of sewage and then taking it to the treatment plant and suitable treatment and discharge of the effluent. Then it takes care of the environmental degradation and the natural resources remain preserved. The operations, actually the PPP route enabled that the operations of running the sewage system as well as running the sewage treatment plant is with people who are experts as well as who have their own stake of being paid for better running of that. Like the private parties, they bring in their own competence and certainly the investment. Then there were financial and economic issues. It had set up a very good example of people's participation as well as public authorities and the private parties. And then there were social and cultural and institutional aspects, an aggressive public outreach, which was not taken up in that area before, has created a lot of awareness, and it involved people, and overall a synergy and a very positive atmosphere was created.
So, according to you, what learnings can be drawn from the implementation of this Alandur project?
See, Alandur remains a role model for any municipality. I would say not only for underground sewage projects, but for any project to be undertaken. And most of the credit should go to Mr. Subramanyam, who was the mayor that time, who took it upon himself to go door to door, hold street corner meetings, and show papers, let hear people, answer their questions, make them stakeholder in even operations of account, and then ensuring that all this participation also results in a very cohesive and deliberate decision making, and the project completes in time and doesn't suffer with uh, chaos also, because too many people can also have a problem. So all that, the leadership which was provided, and then the money which was taken up from people was rightly utilized, and a project which otherwise was not appearing doable or feasible with the existing funds was realized, and today it is running very efficiently.
Thank
That,
you.
with that, we come to the end of today's episode. I'm sure it has been interesting, and we'll be back with you with yet another interesting episode. Till then, keep viewing. Namaste and have a nice day.